The Familiar Stranger Tempest Trials is accompanying our spring banner, and we got some nice rewards to earn. For earning the maximum 50,000 points, you can get up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. You can earn 50 Ephemerate 3 divine codes for this month, and 1 earth blessing to match legendary cloud from last month. For sacred seals, we have Bracing Blow and Speed and Defense solo. Our reward unit for this event is going to be Spring Saleh, and we can talk about him more later on. Now, there has been an addition to the Tempest Trials, but don't worry, it's only beneficial to everyone. Now we have a new target score mechanic, and basically hitting the target score grants you a one-time bonus to your overall score for the event. There are a couple tiers, and each tier adds more points when you reach them. The last tier is just 600 points, and this is the base score when you complete your Tempest Trials runs. If you can score 600 points in one run, you will complete all the tiers at one go for a bonus of 6,800 extra score. You can see on my very first run for this Tempest Trials event, I did the hardest difficulty and got a base score of 793. With the daily 3x bonus, that gets me to 2,379 points, but since I scored over 600 base points, I finished all the target score tiers in one go, which is why I got another 6,800 points in just one run. I'm already at over 9,000 points, so yeah, this is a purely good feature. As far as I can tell, there is no downsides here. For our first sacred seal, we have Bracing Blow 2. If you initiates combat, grants defense and res +4 during combat. This is probably the least sought after player phase blow skill. Obviously more defense and res means you take less damage, but generally our player phase units want more attack and speed to do more damage and potentially double the enemy. It's not bad in the seal slot if you need it for a specific map, but this is probably not a seal a lot of players are going to upgrade first. In fact, if you just want to be tankier and don't mind sacrificing 3 attack, you can just use Fortress Defense and Res 2 and you get +4 defense and res for both phases. Next we have Speed and Defense Solo 3. If unit is not adjacent to an ally, grants +6 speed and defense during combat. Another solo sacred seal, and a lot of people seem to enjoy the speed and res seal, so speed and defense should be another good option. Solo skills are just so strong because you get lots of stats for both phases, but you do need to meet the solo condition. You can double up or mix and match stats with the solo A skills, and a lot of units can just make great use of solo type builds. I would love to put this seal on my Brave Dimitri since he loves both of these stats, and we even have Spring Minerva from the banner who also has good speed and defense. With their flexibility, I do think all these solo skills are worth upgrading. It just depends on which one you need first. I definitely think these speed based ones are some of the strongest since speed itself can affect so many different things on either phase.
Dragons and humans both share a love of spring. Such similarities help us live together peacefully.
For our reward unit, we're going to have Spring Saleh making his Fae debut. Saleh is the pre-promoted Sage in Sacred Stones, but this time he's going to be an Axe Cavalier. 3 free-to-play friendly Axe Cavs in just 3 months is quite something considering how little attention this class usually gets. For stats, Saleh is going to have 41 HP, 37 attack, 36 speed, 26 defense, and 28 resistance. Fantastic attack and speed stats for an Axe Cavalier, and respectable resistance, which is generally the dump stat for many Axe Cavs. His defense is a little low for a melee unit, but he does have a defense super boon, so that could be an interesting option. For his weapon, Saleh has the Springy Axe Plus. This is a 14-point inheritable axe that has the exact same effects as the other inheritable weapons from the banner. At the start of combat, if foe has more than 75% HP, grants +5 attack and speed and neutralize attack and speed stat penalties during combat. If you like building axe units, then you just keep getting more and more options. Another inheritable axe on an heroic grail unit, and this one does stand out quite a bit. Like we've mentioned, this year's spring weapons have a super simple activation condition. You basically find full health enemies all the time, so you pretty much always get that +5 attack and speed, which is solid. Additionally, being able to neutralize attack and speed debuffs is very vital to upkeep offensive pressure. This is especially important for speed, since speed matchups can decide the whole fight. With a speed refined, Springy Axe can give you an easy +8 speed from the weapon slot, and you won't lose speed except to in-combat debuffs. Very solid weapon, and worth mentioning for the Axe infantry close call users since speed is kind of their whole deal. For the rest of his kit, Saleh comes with Reciprocal Aid. He can swap HP with an ally, sometimes useful if you got a specific HP based strategy. His A skill is HP and Res 2, which, you know, kinda expected on Tempest Trials units. +4 HP, +2 Res, not very exciting. At least, Spring Saleh also comes with Rouse Attack and Res 3. If you start the turn alone, you get +6 attack and res for the turn. Very solid self-buffing skill for the solo playstyle, and Cavaliers are great users with their 3 movement. Rouse Attack and Res is only found on Fallen Leon, so for the 3rd time in a row we get another heroic rogue unit with a rare inheritable passive skill. It's a bit weird with the Springy Axe's full attack and speed increases, but at least it buffs Slay's decent res stat further. For the most part, okay base kit, we're definitely only interested in Springy Axe and Rouse Attack and Res. For merging, the neutral nature is going to give Saleh plus 1 HP attack and speed. That's perfectly fine if you don't want to spend trait fruits. Still, he does have that defense super boon, and plus 4 defense would be very nice if you wanted a balanced defense and res spread for a Cavalier. At plus 10 merges, you could definitely get a bit creative with your builds. Did not expect to see this chart again so soon, but as long as we don't go too crazy with more Axe Cavs, I don't mind. We just got Pelagian Male Chris earlier this year, and as you can see from their stats, if you want to focus on attack and speed, then Saleh and Chris are nearly identical. Their differences will come in their defensive spread, with Chris having the more usual high defense, low res stat line. Saleh is going to focus more on resistance. Not really a terribly large difference, but 6 res is 6 res if you want to fight mages or dragons. While Chris is basically a straight upgrade to Grim Marth, Saleh is kind of like an updated version of Titania, except with a lot more base attack to work with. If you wanted a more defense heavy Axe Cav, then you can't go wrong with Lex, who was also recently added. He's got his own Goddess Axe dual phase brave weapon though, so Lex is pretty much a unique unit by himself. If you want to focus on just attack and speed, then take your pick between Saleh and Pelagian Male Chris. For builds, Saleh has a lot of good budget skills. Springy Axe is a great weapon. I would refine it for the extra +3 speed. That way you can either work with Death Blow or Darting Blow in the A slot, and of course you can run either of those in the Sacred Seal slot too. Gives you a good amount of initiation power. With Rouse Attack and Res, Saleh perfectly fits the new Speed and Defense solo Sacred Seal. That would be +6 to all stats, pretty nice and simple. Springy Axe is a great player phase weapon, so Desperation builds work fine. You can run Fury 3 and Brazen Attack and Speed, the usual setup. This weapon does work fine in a more defensive set though, and you could go for a mixed phase build. We have some interesting skills on low rarity units you could try out. Speed and Res Form is from Wrath, or you could get Speed and Res Bond from Tethys. These skills are a bit weird with the Rouse buff though, so you could try with Speed and Res Oath, which we did get from Dithorbo, which does fit Saleh just fine. You could complement it with Attack and Defense Link to stay information, and we have all kinds of Bond or Stand Sacred Seals. Springy Axe does boost attack and speed, but you don't necessarily have to go all in on the player phase skills. If you do want to go for high investment, well, not a lot of options for Cavaliers. You could just borrow Ingrid's entire kit, attack and speed solo, low speed and defense, and Rouse attack and speed with the attack and speed solo seal. Fits perfectly fine with the Springy Axe. You can get Rouse speed and defense from Ferdinand if you want to save a little bit, but you can also get some extra speed buffs. You can also substitute the other offensive skills in, like attack and speed push 4, so Sparrow 3, or life and death even. Feel free to try Gale Force and Heavy Blade as well. If you want to take advantage of Saleh's okayish defense and res spread, you could try to do a Green Duso build. Dex Swabber Plus gives us low attack and defense with a solo condition, and you can double up with defense and res based solo skills. This would fit Saleh's natural Rouse attack and res skill, and you could run low attack and speed to negate 3 different types of field buffs, and you inflict -8 attack debuffs in combat. We're not going to get Duso's free follow up, so Saleh won't need to depend on his speed stat, and he won't be as tanky, but we can try. This would definitely be the time to go for that defense super boom. Last, we could try a distant counter set to be the spiritual successor to Titania. I think huge fan pluses from Groom Hinata would be an interesting choice here. It needs a field buff to be activated, but it grants extra special charging when you get attacked, and Cavaliers don't really have a lot of special charging options. You could run a low B skill with something like Brazen Stance or Defense Res Bond. Maybe you could fit in the Rally plus Ruse combo, since that could get you guard if you're able to line up the debuffs. For the most part, Springy Axe does fit with Saleh's stat spread for a more normal attack and speed stacking build. The activation condition does lend itself to some mixed phase use though, and Saleh has okay defense and res if you want to try a defensive build. Overall, this Tempest Trials has some nice rewards. Bracing Blow is kind of the only meh thing here, while Speed and Defense Solo is just another solo seal to add to the arsenal, great for filling out a build. As for Spring Saleh, he's a great fast Axe Cavalier. He would be the go-to choice if it weren't for Pelagian Male Chris, who has 1 extra point of speed over him. Still not really a deal breaker, pick your favorite. Chris has more defense, while Saleh has some decent resistance if you want to handle magic damage better. As for Springy Axe Plus, another good inheritable axe, this one is pretty much your go-to option if you really care about attack and speed, since negating stat debuffs can be very clutch. It's a very good weapon for a generic player phase initiation build, but it can work in a mixed phase set since the activation condition is so basic. For the most part, this is a pretty good Tempest Trials, and that new target score feature only makes it easier to get all the rewards. Thanks for watching, I'll need to go farm some orbs myself, and I'll see you guys next time.